You're listening to The Mountain Spirit, a podcast of Christian Appalachian Project, where we share inspirational stories of faith, service, and compassion. I'm a firm believer that we're all connected by our shared humanity, and that finding that intersection sometimes just means having a conversation. Today we get to hear from Robyn Renner, Director of Disaster Relief with Christian Appalachian Project, and also Assistant Director of Home Repair in one of CAP's 4 regions that repairs homes for families in need in Appalachia. I've seen Robyn in action coordinating disaster relief efforts following floods, tornadoes, and now even a hurricane. But also because long before I knew her in that capacity, she was living out her servant's heart to help people in need. I believe her story will inspire you to also make a difference where you can, whether that's at home or abroad. Hi, Robyn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tina. It's good to be here.
Well, I'm going to jump right in. So why don't you tell us a little bit, before you started in your current role at CAP, can you share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been at CAP, that sort of thing?
Yes, I was born in Lincoln County, which is south central Kentucky, which is just on the inner area of Appalachia. So it's still in Appalachia. My parents are still married. They've been married 62 years. And
oh my gosh, congratulations. That's awesome.
They were like best friends when they were young, and they came from a large family. They had to work all their lives. I live in the same county, but the opposite end of the county. And so not about 30 minutes from them.
So how did you end up at Christian Appalachian Project?
I had a little girl. I was a single mom. I got saved when I was age 23. At that point, God really spoke to me, and he asked me, Robyn, what have you done with your life? It just really at that moment, it got me thinking, I need to change my life. I need to do better. And so he was asking me that, and I basically asked him, I was like, I can't do this by myself. I can't do this alone. And that's when there was a opening at this place called Christian Appalachian Project. I had no idea what it was or anything. So I applied for it and I got the job. Well, back then in 90, when you were hired temporary, you could only work 6 months. And then that was it. So I worked 6 months. So that's how I started with CAP. And then it was about a month, I had that time frame of being off, and then they called me back and said, hey, I've got a full-time position opened. Are you interested? And I'm like, absolutely. So that was the beginning of my time with CAP, and now it's been almost 34 years later.
Oh, wow. We tell stories a lot with you and the work that you do. So I know that you had a house fire at one time. I wonder if you could talk about how personal tragedy impacted the work that you do and how it shaped, like how you think of the work that you do with CAP.
Peggy Hancock had a lot of faith in me when we started. She was my supervisor way back when, and when she moved up to assistant director, then she had been trying to persuade me to apply for the manager's job. And of course, she saw in me more than I saw in myself. That was the beginning of me as a manager of outreach. It's family advocacy now. And I did that for 7 years. And then, so we worked really closely with the home repair program because we took the applications. And I just had a love for home repair and did that for 7 years. But we built our house in 2002 and we saved our money up. We had been married 10 years, saved our money up and built a house. Well, in 2006, lightning struck it.
Oh my goodness.
It caught on fire and burnt. And so that was, I was working at CAP then. And again, so many people reached out and helped us through those difficult times. And actually that experience, not that it was a good experience, but that experience has helped me show, I guess, empathy or relate to the families who lose their homes during a flood or during a tornado, because it's devastating. when you're used to doing service yourself and then you're receiving that back, people want to help you, and you can relate to these families who got flooded during the disasters and hurricanes. Yeah, I was actually this past hurricane working in one of the houses, and knowing the man that we were tearing the house up, we were tearing the floors up, we were pulling insulation and stuff out, and it just dawned on me. It's like, wow, um, it brought back those days that we were cleaning the house out. That it was a little different, the fire and the water and ashes, but it brought back those memories. All I wanted was somebody to hug me at the time, and that's all I did to Cloyd. That's all he needed, because he was just. It's hard to watch somebody come in and tear your house up. It's already either flooded or burnt, but just the relationships, and it helped me be able to just show him love, and know what I went through.
So I know you've done that, and I know you've done so much locally, but I know that you also have done mission trips. So I wonder if you can tell me what was your first mission trip, and what made you say yes to going.
Like I said, I was saved at 23. These numbers kind of are a little odd. One of these days, I'm going to write a book about this. The Lord was speaking to me at age 33. I just kept hearing his voice and kept hearing his voice saying, Robyn, you're 33 years old. My son died on the cross at age 33. I kept hearing that. I even went to my pastor and talked to him about it, like, what's going on? He said, just, keep praying about it, keep praying about it. There was a local pastor that came to our church, and this was right after the El Salvador major earthquake. There was thousands that was killed in, I think it was February of 2001. And he came around asking people, to go help. I was scared to death. I had never flown before. My son was very young then. I wanted to, and I felt like, well, maybe that's what God's calling me to do as missions. So I prayed about it and prayed about it. And I mean, it was just like God took care of every concern that I had. Everything was answered. And so I think that was the beginning of, oh, that changed my life, just helping people. That's what we basically did over there too, is help them rebuild their homes. And their homes there is just a bit different, they're block homes, but absolutely fell in love with the people there. They just, was just hurting, and just made a lot of connections in El Salvador. So I continue to go back every summer for 5 years, and went to El Salvador. My husband, I think, thought I was going to move over there, but I just fell in love with them, and there's the kids and the families there. And so we would do vacation Bible school, and with the kids, and do tie-dye shirts and stuff, and just something to get their minds off of losing their homes. So many kids lost their parents. So following that, I went to Haiti a couple of years. They had that another earthquake there, kind of the same thing. Just when you give your heart and soul to Christ, and that's what you're doing, is His work, and you're serving Him. It's like a feeling that, nothing else matters. It's just you're working for God.
I've been to Haiti too. It is such a beautiful country, and I think the people are so friendly. You mentioned El Salvador and how the houses are not exactly the same as what we think. And I think when I think of Appalachia, the word that I hear so often is resilience. And I think that that's the word that I came away in Haiti with as well. Because we were out in a very rural area, and you would see like a home that was really like sticks, and maybe they had like what was used to do billboards in America, and that would be like the siding of the house, and you would come in, and like just to think that people could be resilient, and sometimes outside of houses you see a little solar panels, and that's what they use, but just like very creative and ingenious to be able to make a life sometimes when you also are struggling in poverty. So I wonder if you could speak to that. What was your time like there, and what do you think of the current situation? Like, I know I still have folks that I know that are still there serving, and then people here stateside that are still helping in Haiti.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you would see a lot of graffiti on rocks. It wasn't bad graffiti, but it was just very bright colors, and it's difficult there because you know, El Salvador and Haiti. I mean, you got a lot of gangs and stuff there. We still have connections with the people there, but it's so hard for them. You know, the lifestyle that they have, much different poverty than Eastern Kentucky has the poverty, but it's, you know, it's just a different kind of poverty.
I definitely agree with that, and I think I was also just always just struck by uh, faith in people's reliance, that hope, like what we talk a lot about our mission statement, that hope that tomorrow could be a better day. Just seeing people praise and worship God even when they did not have sort of the creature comforts that we have, and so my heart just continues to go out. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello, friends of CAP. This year, CAP turns 60, and we couldn't be more excited. This marks 60 years of building hope, 60 years of transforming lives, 60 years of sharing Christ's love through service in Appalachia. And we plan to be here for many more years to come. In celebration of our anniversary, we have created a special website where you can view the CAP archives and experience our story throughout the first 60 years of CAP. Thank you for being part of our story. Visit us at wearecap.org. That is wearecap.org.
One natural disaster that sticks out in my mind the most, I think, was Hurricane Katrina. How did you all end up going to help, and what did you see when you first arrived there?
CAP had just started the disaster relief program in '04, and it was when Bill Mills was president. And the very first disaster we did was in Eastern Kentucky in the 2004 floods. It was a little bit smaller scale. I think the Lord was preparing us for Katrina, which happened in 2005. Even though that was not Appalachia, that was such a huge eye opener for us. You know, it gave us a lot of insight on what to do and how to help these families, and just the connections, the partnerships through FEMA and different agencies. We would take a bus of our staff and volunteers down once a week, and we would switch out. I got to run the forklift, which, funny story, we didn't have a lot of people that was running the forklift, and so I got quickly trained and then went down and you know, it was just, that's what I've done full time, is just use that forklift and unload trucks. And I mean, we just continually unloaded trucks because that's what we did there, is the distribution center, and people would drive through the church that we stayed at, and, you know, tell us how many was in the family and what the needs are. And then the next person up would load their trunk, you know, or load their car full of stuff. And it was just a continuous line, like all day long. But that was definitely our first learning experience with what all that entails.
Are there parallels you see between people in need and those service opportunities that you had, and people in need that you see in Appalachia?
We do home repair. You know, it's not the same, but what we do full time here in Eastern Kentucky, and there's just a lot of a lot of like grandparents raising grandchildren. We work a lot with them. We A lot of the homes, like I can think of the one that we did not long ago. We did an addition, 2-bedroom addition, when we had got the contact with the family. The grandparents had custody of these 3 kids, but they didn't have enough space. And so they weren't going to be able to keep the kids until they had enough space, you know, their own bedrooms. And so we did 2-bedroom additions. And so we do that a lot, you know, even though these families hadn't experienced a natural disaster, but they, you know, it was a disaster to them if they weren't going to be able to, you know, keep their children in the home. So we've also done put in bathrooms. Some of these homes, you think right now everyone has a bathroom, but that's not true. In Eastern Kentucky, we've put in several bathrooms for these families that still had outhouses, and so we do that in the counties that we serve.
Yeah, I think people. I say it many times when I meet people in different places. And they ask me where do I work and what do I do, and I tell them that you will be surprised that in 2024, some of the conditions of which people live, when we say people are living in poverty in America, that it is beyond, I think, what people could really grasp. I think people would be shocked if they could walk in to some homes, and people are really doing the best they can with the finances that they have, with the opportunities they have. And I just am sometimes just truly amazed at what organizations like CAB get to do and come in and help families. And whether it's repair homes or add ramps and things that make it accessible for people to get out of their house, and just a variety of things. I'm sure that you all have seen so many things.
Yeah, the one family too stands out. We were helping. We had gotten a referral when we first visited. She had a dirt floor. I mean, it was literally dirt, and you would think there's no way that's possible. Her husband had just passed away, and she had a lot of health issues, and her husband was too prideful to ask for help. And then when he passed away, she couldn't do it herself. And that's how we got connected with her. And so, people wonder how in the world can they live in a dirt floor, but these people are they're prideful. They don't want to ask for help until, something major happens. And then, health issues become an issue. She was staying sick all the time because of all the dampness and stuff and the
Yeah.
mold. And so that's how, we she got referred to us, and we actually partnered with Kentucky Mountain Housing and built her a home. That's been a little while ago, but
Yeah. Yeah, those are great stories of transformation, of really transforming someone's life in a way beyond maybe what they can do for themselves. And partnerships. I think we could not do what we do without partnerships in the area. And speaking of partnerships, I know you all just got back from uh, Johnson City, Tennessee, and Eastern Tennessee, helping with after Hurricane Helene, and lots of CAP staff and employees and volunteers went down. But what struck you that was different or similar with what you saw following this hurricane than what you witnessed with floods in eastern Kentucky?
just the outpouring that people wanted to come together as a community. We that was a lot of conversation that I had down there, was how neighbors wouldn't even talk to neighbors, and then all of a sudden this happens and everybody's trying to help, um, whoever they can, and just the how the community comes together. We had gotten a contact through FAHI, and which CAP is a member of FAHI. It's Federation Appalachian Housing Enterprise. We were trying to find a place to house our volunteers, where a connection through FAHI. Eastern 8 is out of Eastern Tennessee, and so we were out of Eastern Kentucky. And so the connection with us was FAHI. And they said, hey, yeah, we've got a building that we just now purchased and we're just now signing off on. And it's empty. And we went down to look at it. It was absolutely just perfect for what we needed. And so that's where we housed our volunteers, and oh my goodness, they helped us so much, get set up, and they knew the community. They knew where all the bridges was out to keep us from having to drive, an hour and out, an hour back. But the connections with them through through the Eastern Aid, and they also do home repair, and so we're going to continue to partner with them, and we do. Outside of Eastern Kentucky, we do disaster relief. Well, it's going to be years before they can get the homes built, rebuild. They're going to be doing the recovery part. So we're going to partner now with Eastern Aid, and they're going to continue to go back and do the home repairs. And ASP is going to do the new homes, and then Eastern Aid is going to do the home repairs, and we're going to partner with them.
That's amazing. I love that. There is so much devastation just driving through there. I think I was just struck by how much sand and debris that you look like. I grew up in North Carolina, rural place, and our yard was sand. Like we didn't have grass in that way that you think of like in a suburb. You have the lawn care people, and I remember just kind of thinking like, oh, this looks like my yard. And then the people like, no, like this was my acre, and I used to cut this, and it was just like sand on everywhere you looked, and just thinking about how do you go back and like grow a garden or plant grass in your yard and all the things, notwithstanding like people like cooking on camping small grills and things because there's no electricity and things like that. It was just amazing, and again just seeing everybody come together to help each other. What brought you hope in the midst of all the devastation that you saw down there and the stories I'm sure that you heard?
I guess the people coming together. There was a man there on Fender's farm, and he had gotten flooded. He had lost like thousands of dollars worth of hay on his farm, lost a lot of his crops, and he wasn't he wasn't even focusing on that. He was focusing on other people that lost their homes and lost everything, their cars, their food. Uh, he was working so hard every day helping those people um, try to put their lives together and stuff. And then just the outpouring of neighbors helping neighbors, just seeing that come together. And in my mind, I'm just standing there watching. I'm like, why can't we do this all the time? But
Yeah.
I don't want a disaster all the time. But um, sometimes it's just when things like this happen, it just brings the best out of people. And, we just want to help, and we just show love. And that's part of the hope. And, it just brings people together. Like you said, it's CAP's mission statement. It's transforming lives. And I know that they'll look back on a year or two from now, and remember all that's happened. But it's the relationships that they'll never forget, that reached out and helped.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Your generosity has a direct and positive impact in the lives of people in need in Appalachia every day. It is the unwavering support of faithful friends like you that make this work possible. Many of our supporters are beginning to plan and envision what kind of legacy they want to leave to support the causes that are near and dear to their hearts. CAP is happy to provide a safe and easy experience for people to create a will and support CAP through non-cash gifts. Through our partnership with Free Will, CAP offers our donors the ability to create a will online and alter it at no charge. Our partnership with Free Will also includes their Smart Giving Suite, which allows donors to give through their IRA, donor advised funds, and stock online, in addition to creating a will for free. In recent years, Appalachia has faced unrelenting challenges, including the pandemic, inflation, and back-to-back natural disasters. You can make a life-changing impact and leave a legacy of hope in Appalachia. To learn more about non-cash giving opportunities, please visit christianapp.org/more ways to give.
I have learned so much from you about disaster relief and recovery and what's the difference and when do you respond and when you wait for the first responders to do what they do. Are there a few things that you would want the general public to know about what they should do when it's time for a disaster? I know we talked a lot about clothes and all the things that people send that don't need to be sent like the first week and why and all the things, but I wonder, like, you've been doing this for a while now, what general information, here's your public service announcement to the public. What should people do after a disaster when they want to help, and why do something that we think is helpful doesn't help as much as we think, and how can you be the most helpful?
Yes, absolutely. So, two huge things: do not self deploy because it just creates more chaos. Don't go. I mean, they have to do search and rescue. They have to get the electric back on. And so when there's so many people coming in, it slows the process down. So the other, they do not need clothes, they do not need stuff. They do need water and food, but not food to cook. They don't have any place for it. They don't have any, if they're in a shelter or if they're living with family, people automatically want to send a lot of stuff. My suggestion is if they can wait until the relief part is over. So there is disaster relief and there's disaster recovery. The relief part is, the beginning is search and rescue. The other is going in and just assessing, seeing what the need is. If the homes aren't completely destroyed, get them muck and gut, get the mud out, clean it out. You've got to get the insulation, the drywall, the flooring. It's got to dry out. So many people, they don't want to tear up those hardwood floors. They have to be torn up because if the air, it doesn't get in, the airflow, it doesn't dry, it causes mold, and that is absolutely not good. Black mold is a dirty word you don't want to say, but that's what it'll make you sick if you. A lot of people want to leave the floors in, and it has to dry out, and so letting the homes dry out. Then the recovery stage is, they're building back, they're slowly moving in. Then that's when they need the stuff. That's they need the furniture, and they need the appliances, and they need the the toilet paper and the paper towels. And a lot of places right now still don't have electricity. They're just living off the grid. Some people are still living in tents, and so they need canned food. Don't forget the can opener. They need things like that, but they don't need all the excess stuff right now. It's cold. You got to think weather wise. They need blankets and they need coats and they need things to keep them warm, warm clothing right now. But they don't have a place to wash their clothes. So when people send like semi truckloads of clothes, they don't need that much. It just a lot of the distribution centers get overwhelmed with clothes because you need more volunteers to sort the clothes, the sizes, and the men and women, children. Cash is better. Cash is better. When you go into these areas, you think that there's no place to purchase anything. Well, we stayed in Johnson City, which did not get flooded, and we were kind of on the outskirts of like Unicoi, Irwin, Carter. The dollar stores, and the Walmarts and Krogers, they were still all opened, but in the outskirts of the areas, which got flooded, and they can still, use gift cards and cash. So cash is always better. It's less labor intense than just sending the clothes and the items until they're ready to move back in their home.
Yeah, and then I try to tell people that it allows you to pivot because if you get there and you sent blankets, but they need coats, then if you have the financial donation, the organizations on the ground can make those pivots and get the people what they need. And I know one of the churches we went to just seemed overwhelmed with clothes. It was like clothes on every church pew and everywhere, like everywhere we looked was just like clothes and clothes and clothes. But you still had people that were, I mean, they were still like, was just now opening up some of the roads and bridges and things. And so I was like, oh boy, like if people could see it, I think they could have an appreciation. The same thing with the tornado in Western Kentucky and going out and seeing like that whole big old, like a Macy's type size store of just clothes and clothes and clothes and clothes and clothes. I just think that people would be shocked because I think it's just a human nature you want to help. But what is the best way and most effective way to help? Lots of people have never visited Appalachia. If there is one stereotype that you could correct, what would that be?
We have some really spiritual, intelligent people in Appalachia. I mean, they they just people look at Eastern Kentucky as is not being smart, and that's not true. Um, so many people here are just they don't have opportunities like in other places. We don't have a lot of factories. We don't have a lot of jobs. The coal mines went out. There's just not a lot of opportunities. And if we had more of that, more opportunities for them to get out and work, and they want to work, it's just, it's not there. There's not a lot of places that you can get jobs. There's not many opportunities.
So, last question. Our mission statement at Christian Appalachian Project is building hope, transforming lives, and sharing Christ's love through service in Appalachia. Hope, transformation, love, and service. Which one resonates with you the most when you think of Appalachia?
Well, it's absolutely sharing Christ's love. And I know our mission statement says sharing Christ's love through service. And that is true. But sharing Christ's love and telling the story of the cross, I love that too. They all resonate with me. I mean, I love the building hope, transforming lives. I always think of the love, going back to when I was a child. You got to show love. Love to our neighbors and love to families, and you will definitely get there, build those relationships if you can show love and not judge. So definitely sharing Christ's love.
Awesome. Robyn, it's been a joy to have you on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tina.
Our guest today has been Robyn Renner, Director of Disaster Relief with Christian Appalachian Project, and also Assistant Director of Home Repair in one of CAP's 4 regions. We hope you've enjoyed the show and will check out next week's episode. Tell your friends to check us out too. You can follow the work of Christian Appalachian Project on all social media channels. You can also find the podcast at wearecap.org/podcast or wherever you get your favorite podcast. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode.